insanity. I am like a sucker punch to the teeth. My dear child of Christ, you are not only queer, but also an idiot. We're apparently starting this vlog in the cloudiest day of the year. Great. But look what I have in my possession. It's the Sunshine Court. If you don't know what this vlog is going to be about, I have been a fan of the Foxhole Court since possibly the day it came out, because I saw it on Tumblr. Yes, I was a Tumblr kid, still am, and I wanted to read something devastating and a sports romance. It was not a sports romance. It was devastating though. It is one of the worst series that you could ever read. It's one of my favorite series though. And everybody who has read the series can tell you this. It's not good. It is the most heart-wrenching, gut-impaling feeling in the world reading these books. So when the author, after almost 10 years, decided to write another book about the same characters in the Foxhole Court series, but about Jean, I was like, I need it. So I bought it the day it came out. I reread this series almost yearly. Last year I reread the first book, and I was going to reread only the first book, and then I reread the whole series, and this is what I'm going to do in this vlog. I'm going to reread the whole series and then start the Sunshine Court for the first time. Because I need context. I have the memory of a goldfish, okay? When they tell you the goldfish that goes around the fishbowl and then remembers nothing, that's me. I'm going to start with the first book, feeling unwell about this, but we're going to be going through this together, okay? Stay with me. I need to explain myself. I have the physical copy of the first book of the Foxhole Court, but first time that I read this series, I read it on iPad, and also the second and third time that I read the series, I read it on my iPad, and then I decided I was going to invest some money and I got the physical copy of the first book. But I feel like if you have to experience this series, this is such an online series. This comes from Tumblr. Nora Sakovic was huge on Tumblr, and you have to read it digitally, I feel like. Maximum peak experience for the Foxhole Court, all of the game series on the iPad. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but I had to. I remember a lot of the things. I do, however, mix up all of the books together, so this will be... Good morning. Yesterday night I started the Foxhole Court, and I realized that I did not even tell you what the whole series is about. So really briefly, the series is about a made-up sport called Exi that is a mix of lacrosse and soccer, and the protagonist is an Exi player. He is on the run from both, I think, the police and the mafia, and his father, who is a serial killer, worked for the mafia. There's a lot of gangster connection in this sport because it was created by a expat Yakuza group in Ireland. And the protagonist gets signed off to be in one of the worst team of the whole sport. It's called the Palmetto High, and it's the Foxes. So he goes to play with the Foxes, even though there's another star player in that team that switched teams from the best team to the worst team, and they knew each other when they were really, really young. This is all I'm going to say. The list of trigger warnings for this series is never ending. If I can, I'll put it right here. Yeah. This is why I can tell you with confidence that this is one of the worst series that you'll ever see me recommend. And I don't recommend it, but it's one of my favorites. I love it with all of my heart, especially because I started the series yesterday night and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to read like 50 pages. And then I was checking my phone. I was like, is it midnight? Because it's really dark outside. And I was like, I'm on page 100. I'm halfway through the book and it's 1 a.m. I am halfway there. These are very short books. The first book is like 200 pages maximum. They're very short. They pack such a punch. Nora Sakovic really understood the balance between prose, description, dialogue. It's so good. I can understand why I love this at 16. I still love it today, even though I can see the flaws. Insanity. I am. They're starting to practice all together. Not all of the characters have been introduced, all of the teammates. I love Neil Justin with all of my heart. He is such an idiot. So today I plan on finishing the first book and going on to the second one. Because you have to binge it all. You can't just read the first book and then wait. You cannot. Update, it's a lot later and I am at 60% into the foxhole court, and I have to update you because I did not remember how vicious the teammates were, like Seth, Andrew, but also Aaron and Nikki. Ruthless. Oh my god, the things that they do, very morally reprehensible, also like legally reprehensible. And the fact that Nora has the ability to write them so behaving so badly and then you fall in love with them, amazing, just amazing. I just read the scene at the club for the first time. I'm not going to give you any spoilers obviously, but like, oh my god. I have to catch a train. I have my wonderful froggy bag, and I think I'm going to read a chunk on the train because this flies by very, very fast. It's a very short book, as I said. And then I want to finish the first book. I want to binge it all. This is the only way you can experience the series as intended. Look at that ear. Dobby! I'm at 74% and this is their first game altogether. And I know what's going to happen. I already read the series so many times. Tell me why I'm so nervous for them. Tell me why. This is insane. Even though I know play by play what is going to happen, I am still like so nervous. This is the only series that does it to me. It's such a rush. I finished it. I knew that the ending of this book was going to be hard-hitting. I've already read it, as I said, but I don't know why this time the ending hit me a lot harder. I don't know why. It's such a sad ending. Yeah. So now on to book 2. It's good. It's not 5 stars. Because actually, this is one of my favorite series, but not all of the books are 5 stars. I can be objective like that. This is like a 4.25. That was hard. Ooh, okay. Welcome to my childhood bedroom. Am I too far away? Yeah, it feels weird doing something video related in here. I don't know why. I do have my Blahage for support because I started the Raven King, the second book in the series, and I switched to the iPad. This is my 15-year-old iPad, as you can see. And this is the original device in which I read the entire series the first time when I was 16. This is a trip down memory lane for sure. A very traumatizing thing happened at the end of the first book, and we begin the second book right after, like a day or two after. They are grieving the traumatizing thing that happened. They're heading to their first match of the book, their second match, I think, in the championship, and once again, I know how this is going to end. I am buzzing with electricity. It is reminding me how I used to play volleyball at really high levels when I was a kid, and I used to play with people who were really much older than me and much taller, much stronger. And I feel like Neil, the protagonist, in which he feels like a fish out of the water because he's inexperienced, he's the weakest link, but he's starting to become such a good player in a way that not only he is improving as a player in a technical sense, but he's starting to form a bond with his teammate, and it's such a wonderful thing to witness. This is why I love these characters so much. They make you feel all the emotions. You care for them so much, even though they are being awful idiots, complete douchebags. I'm on page 30, and I think at least page 100 tonight. I really want to read up to that page. We'll see. Also, perfect companion, like the perfect cushion companion. He listens to me ramble about these characters a lot. So, yeah. You see what I mean? Oh my god. Ah! You see? He's starting to become such a good player. Also, let's do a drinking game. Let's take a shot every time Neil says, "I'm fine," even though he's clearly not fine. Alcohol poisoning waiting to happen. As he listened to his teammates, Neil realized he was happy. Shut up! Shut up! What? Oh, what a day it has been. I just took my morning classes, my engineering classes. I am beat. And it's storming outside, and I was on my bicycle. That was fun. That was incredibly fun. But I do have updates. Because I did a stupid thing last night. I stayed until 1 a.m. once again to read. And I had morning classes at 8 a.m. I'm not the brightest tool in the shed. I never said I was. I've never been one. But I am on page 244 of a 370 pages book. So I will never give you a spoiler in this reading vlog outside of the spoiler section. So we just had a match with the Ravens, a match that was foretold in the first book, and that was thrilling. One thing that Nora Sakamoto knows how to write is match games. Usually when you see a book that it's about sports, you're like, I don't really care about the sport, I care about the people. Here, it's a made-up sport and you care about it so much. The matches are perfectly described at a pace which is very quick, but it's really heightened emotions. So good, so good. So now we are having a very congenial and joyous Thanksgiving dinner. If you read the book, you know which scene this is. So now I have to read the infamous Thanksgiving dinner. I read a little bit in between my classes, which I shouldn't have done. I was so distracted during the lesson. But now I have, once again, my trusty iPad and I will go on. So, not even like 10 minutes later, I read the scene. I was cheerful before, because haha, it's a Dean famous scene, but it really is an awful scene. Not because of the writing, obviously, but because of the themes it explores and what happens. Heavy trigger warning for a lot of things. I put them all in the beginning of the video, but really, truly do check out the trigger warnings, because things are graphic. The first time I read this scene, especially, in which we kind of get the first glimpse into what Andrew, the goalie, passed in his life and why he was the way that he was. You meet Andrew in the first book and he's so drugged out of his mind, and he has to stay drugged because apparently he is so aggressive, so combative, but also so incredibly depressed and apathetic when he is normal or not taking his medication. But the first time I read this scene and I understood, I was like, yeah, but it's kind of unrealistic, the way that they handled Andrew's trauma. And then I discovered how the American care system was in 2007 when the book was set. 2007 was in the midst of the opioid crisis, especially with heavy drug disguised as proper medication. It's more realistic now that I'm reading this with the knowledge that I have, and also how the American foster care system works. It's very different in Italy. It was incredibly hard to read the scene. It pivots the series. From this point on, everything changes. It's going to get more awful before it gets better. So, this is the hard book to read. Yeah, maybe listening to sad music, like sad guitar riffs, wasn't the best idea. Read the aftermath. Uh, I just wanted to read you the sentence. It's not a spoiler, but for Neil, there was always a back door to slip out, a bus to catch, a ferry to ride. It might be awful and terrifying, but it still gave him dim hope for survival. He couldn't imagine life without that comfort. And knowing what we know now, like a sucker punch to the teeth. Listen, I look like an egg. I feel like when I don't care, I need update. I'm finally in a better mood because the scene, the fox are getting to bond finally, and there's this scene in which a girl wants to give her number to Neil because she's like, well, you're gorgeous and I kind of like you. And so she's like, I can give you my number. And his response is, what for? My dear child of Christ, you are not only queer, but also an idiot. So if you ever finish the second book, you would know that at one point he'll stop saying, I'm fine, because he's not fine. The coach at one point asks him, well, I don't think you've ever been fine in your life. Have you? So I've reached the point in which the coach says, well, are you fine? And he, smiling, says, no, I'm not. Now I remember why I really loved this series when I was 16. I needed to feel something this intense. Well, you got it. Listen, this is insanity. I did not remember this part as well as I thought I would. I'm on page 360, 10 pages, okay, till the end of the book, and I'm reading the aftermath of what happens at the end of the Raven King. Nora, you're insane for this. I remembered what happened. I did not remember this scene in particular. Brutal. This is like seeing your friends get tortured. I'm going to finish it today, obviously, like right now, and then I will immediately jump into The Kingsman, which is my favorite. It's the best book I think in the series, and it's just like the perfect finale. I cannot wait for everybody, especially Neil and Andrew, to get their revenge. Ah! I love how Nora Sakurai really truly wrote the most heartbreaking, heartwarming line at the end of The Raven King. And then she hits you with X's rules and regulations. And you can finally understand what the fuck the sport is about. Time for The Kingsman. Tell me why I was reading. And then, can you guess what this lump is? Yep, that's my dog. I remember why I like this book best. In the third book is when all the relationship truly develop, not only like romantic, but also like relationships. And it's so good to see. They're all so interesting. And even the characters that you get to see less, like Allison or maybe Dan, they are also interesting and so wonderfully characterized. I love all the women fiercely. Dan, Allison, love them to death. Now it's Aaron's turn. Also, yeah, I crocheted a little case for my headphones because they keep like pushing onto my head and it's making me, get headaches. It's not the cutest, but I like it. Okay, frazzled update. It happened. If you know what I mean, it happened. Okay, for the first time, I'm going to talk spoilers. So please, if you haven't read the series, I'm not going to say maybe read it because it's not for everybody. Read the trigger warnings, read the synopsis, really inform yourself, and then maybe read it. But yeah, you can skip this portion. Spoilers. They kissed for the first time. And I had to witness that first. I thought you were a pipe dream scene, and I was imploding. These are two people who are so fucked mentally, physically. If I had to explain to you these two characters, you would say they're awful for each other, but they are so perfect for each other. And now Neil is receiving a countdown on his phone, and just like the tension. I'm halfway through the book. Kind of. I'm 200 pages in, and it's a almost 500 pages book, but I don't want to finish it. I can see why Nora wanted to write another book about Jean, because he's such an interesting and mysterious character, and we get to see him a lot at the end of The Raven King, but also in this book, actually. And his relationship with Kevin was not explored as much as I would have wanted, so the Sunshine Court is going to give it to me. I know it, this is a 5-star book. This is the 5-star. Definitely. Absolutely. Twins are finally, twinning, communicating. It's so cheap when a book does what it does, like develops a character, but it just gets the character from point A to point B without the actual development. Here, you actually see them changing and regressing and then going backwards and forward, and it's real, and it's raw, and I really like it, even though it's dramatic, sometimes a little bit cringy, but I love it. Okay. You know how I told you that I remember book 3 the most out of all the 3 books? I lied. Because what the fuck was this? What the fuck was chapter 11? Like, I remember none of it. I do have 200 pages to go to finish this. And I could finish it tonight if I go to bed at 1 a.m. again for the 3rd time in a row. Which is tempting. I don't know if I should do that though. But it is tempting. Good morning. Guess what happened last night? If your guess is you stayed up until 1 a.m. and you didn't even finish the book, your guess is correct. I have like 75 pages to go, and this is the part that I actually did not remember from my other rereads. I don't know why. Why is there an airplane? I don't live near an airport. I have no idea why I did not remember this crucial part of the story, but now that it's gone, brutal. Again, I've said brutal 100 times, but these books are. Also, after rereading this kind of part, like the 2 first thirds of the book, I can guess why the author came back and wrote a book about Jean, because you get to see glimpses of what happens to him in this book and the aftermath of Neil doing what he does best, which is never keeping his mouth shut and spouting bullshit in public places. I can guess why. Like, I really do understand, and I don't understand the fact that she did not do it sooner, because this story warranted another book about Jean. Obviously, like, no questions about it. It's pouring rain outside, and fortunately my morning classes got cancelled because the professor could not get by train to the classes. So I'm really lucky. All I have to do today is read my book, finish it, cry about it, because I know I'm going to cry. I always cry at the end of The King's Man, and then start the Sunshine Court. I'll pour myself a cup of tea, and I'm going to finish The King's Man. The final match is about to happen, and I am so... Yes! he said that. He said the thing. He said the thing. Kevin said the thing. I am so proud of him. He is probably one of the characters that goes through the ringer the most, actually. But we see him like having a panic attacks every 2 chapters, always off screen though. So you don't get the severity until you get to this thing here. So good, so good. You know what else I did not remember first time I read the series? Who Jeremy Knox was. Now I remember why I love him so much. And it's so good in such a crude sport and in such a very bleak story to see somebody who's actually like a true sportman. Like the sportsmanship is 100% their first thought in the morning, and it's so good to see. You know what? Shut up. I don't want to read this anymore. I cannot start crying on page 450. That was... Jesus. Okay. I finished it. And it's raining. Why is it raining? The fact that we don't have a second epilogue, kind of criminal. But I do know that there are some extras about the life after, and that the author really responds to questions on her, before on her Tumblr, now on Twitter. I think I'll start the extras on the train, and then later this evening I'll start the Sunshine Court. I cannot stay up another time, like 4th time in a row, until 1 a.m. Will I do it? Probably. Is it a bad idea? Yeah. Hi. Why is it so cold? It's April! So as you can see, I just gone through a tornado because outside it's pouring rain, wind, everything that can be. I feel like a wet dog. I took my morning train, even though I woke up 10 minutes before I was supposed to go out. And I went to my morning classes. I almost fell asleep, but I am alive. And in the morning train, I did read a little bit more of the extras. I'm very emotional because I found out that the Sunshine Court is not a standalone. Nora wanted to write a standalone, but she couldn't, so there's going to be 2 books. I will have to do this all over again when the second book comes out. That's fun. And then it's Sunshine Court time. Am I ready? No. I am not ready. I keep thinking about that first sentence about Jean coming back together piece by piece, and I'm like, this is going to shatter me. Yeah, let's go. I once again look like an egg, but I started the Sunshine Court. First 2 chapters, brutal. If you thought the Raven King and the Kingsman were violent and brutal, first 2 chapters of this, exactly the same level. And I also did not know that this was a double POV. We're getting a Jeremy Knox POV. I'm so happy. It needs it for balance. I will not elaborate on my clothing of choice. I am 200 pages in of a 370 pages book. Oh, it's hidden. It's hidden in the way the Foxhole Court did, in a way that it feels like the start of something. And right now we have Jean, who has transferred from the Ravens to the Trojans, and he is meeting the captain, Jeremy, and his new roommates, Lila and Kat. I really like them. I like that this book feels, it's different. We have both POV of Jean and Jeremy, and it feels like a sunnier book already. It feels like it's summer in this book, while it felt like it was spring and fall in the Foxhole Court series. I'm grateful that there's going to be a sequel, because this feels like the start of something. I can feel that it's going to be really, really painful. Hi, update. So yesterday night I had like 170 pages left of the Sunshine Court. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to read for a while, then I'm going to finish it tomorrow morning, so today, and then I'm going to, speak my thoughts out loud. Can you guess what I did? Yeah, I finished it at 1 a.m. Apparently it's a trend. Apparently I cannot finish Nora Sakavic books outside of the 1 a.m. range. This book was good. It was good. It was very sad. For the people who said that it was plotless, yes, it's plotless. It's kind of like the Foxhole Court, the first book, without the skeletal plotline of autumn and spring championships. This is purely Jim Moreau picking himself back together after the fallout in The King's Man, and what happens, who dies, etc., etc. It's a very sad book, very, very heavy on the topics of possibly any kind of abuse that there is. And it's very interesting to have a All for the Game series, a book with double POV, and you actually know nothing about Jeremy at all. Like, you get his POV, but he's so hyper-focused on Jin. Some information get past the cracks in his demeanor, so we know that something has happened to him. He's a very rich boy with a butler, but we don't know why he's kind of estranged from his family and he does not want to be around them, his sister, his brother, etc. We don't know nothing. We literally know nothing. I know it's probably Jean Moreau, but the first time that I read the book, I thought it was Jean, and Jean is a French name, so yeah, I'm going to call it like that. I don't care. What I do care about is that I really like this book. I liked it in the way that I like the Foxhole Court, as I said, in which it's the start of something. The Foxhole Court, I give 4 stars. This one, I'm going to give a 4 stars. Because it's the start of something and it's setting up. And the author, Nora Sakavic, said that the second book, and there's going to be 2, I think, is going to come out this year or like early next year. So I'm going to do a reread of this when that other comes out, because I binged it all in the span of a day and I still think about that cheese drawer. Also, I think it's so funny to see Neil through others' eyes, and like Neil, when we are in his head in the Foxhole Court, we know why he's doing everything that he does, and it's so panicked in each and every choice that he has to make. And then we get to see him after The King's Man through Jin's eyes, and he's like a rabid dog, like a rabid fox, and he's so unhinged but so iconic. My thorough review is that this is not a series in which I give each and every book 5 stars, but it's a 5 stars series for me, definitely. There's no other series that can put me in such a mind hole like this. I don't know what to do with myself. I cannot reread it again. I can, You see the mental space in which the series puts me in. I think these characters are going to stick with me till my utter demise, because there's nothing that can put a mental stop to my thoughts about them. I wouldn't recommend anybody under 18 to read this series. Definitely trigger warnings are a list, as you saw, but I also wouldn't recommend to people who are dealing with grief or any other like tough periods of their lives, because it's a tough book and it's very graphic in its details, and I wouldn't recommend it to people who are starting to read now. I would recommend it to a more advanced reader, just because it's fairly common to misinterpret what is said and done in this book as the complete opposite. This reading vlog stops here. I'm going to still think about these characters for the next, I don't know, 9 to 10 months. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you are rallying with me for the Sunshine Court. And if you want to connect with me in other places, I do have some socials down below. I'm most active on TikTok. Find him there. And if you could like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube stuff, that will make me really happy. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye! Mwah!